You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 99, Manifesting Your Next Partner. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, my beautiful brave hearts. I love the woo-woo side of me, you guys. I have incorporated a lot of this into the Get Over Your Ex program. Obviously, I always give you next steps and how-tos. And even within the woo-woo, which is very conceptual, I do my best to walk you step by step into all of the different things. So I have also started bringing in special guest speakers every week within the Get Over Your Ex program. And it's not just, a one teacher program. Yes, you get all of me, but I want to introduce you to a wide world of coaching and life topics. Like I say all the time, it is not just about getting over your ex. We are building a life your ex regrets leaving, one where you love it so much more than the one that you thought you were dreaming of when you were with your partner. So I love it. A part of that is really introducing you to all the different types of coaches and all the different types of topics. And so I personally cover all of the life topics, but I think it's always fun to bring in different perspectives and show you different expertise and things like that. So this run of the program has been so fun because it's like the first time I've incorporated this, and I loved the Braveheart Festival that we did during Valentine's Day, where we brought all kinds of talent together in one spot. I really like, I feel like my program is this big festival, and we just bring all kinds of different talent in, and it's just only getting better and better, and I'm so obsessed with it. So now inside the group, we talk about building the relationship with yourself, obviously, and then we go out and we do that. You absolutely leave the program with this totally new type of relationship with yourself, which actually I have a couple of Brave Hearts coming on to talk about that later. And then we go on to talk about relationships with others and how this work ties into your next relationship. So I bring in experts from all types when we begin this work. And so that not only do you have my expertise, but you also have the expertise of others in the arena. Now, Madi Maple is one of those amazing humans. And I do an introduction on the call and explain more about how I met her and my thoughts of her and all of that. So I'm actually not going to spend too much time talking about that here and now. But without further ado, my brave hearts, I want you to please have a warm welcome to this magical Madi Maple. I love this conversation. I hope you love it just as much as I do. All right. Hello, my beautiful, beautiful brave hearts. I have someone super special here today. All of you know, I don't normally do a lot of interviews. I think we've maybe had two on the podcast so far, outside of alumni brave hearts who come on and talk about their experience of getting over their ex. So I just love the person that I'm bringing on today. She's such a magical, amazing human being. I'm so excited. So I have Madi Maple with me here today. And before I have you introduce yourself, Madi, I actually want to talk about kind of my experience when I first met you. Can I start with that?
Yes,
Okay.
please. First of all, I feel so honored that I'm one of the only guests, but yes, do your thing. Tell your story.
So fun. Okay. So Madi reached out to me on Instagram to do an interview on her podcast. She has a beautiful podcast called Breaking Butterfly. And and when you popped up on my Instagram, on my DMs, I was instantly drawn to your photo, and I went to your profile and I was like, we are the same fucking person. If I could adopt you as my little sister, that's what I want. If I could force you to be my little sister, I'm like, that is 100% what I want. I'm just so obsessed with you and your vibe. And
Mm.
I was like, yes, I'll go on your podcast. This like sounds like a great idea. And so any of you who haven't, obviously you might not have ever heard of Maddie before, but definitely I'll have her give you her Instagram profile, all the things, and it'll all be linked in the show notes, but go ahead and check her out because she's just so much fun. And so then we got on the call to do the podcast interview, and we just had a blast chit chatting about all of the things breakup. Of course, you guys know I could talk about breakups all damn day.
Mhm.
And then I was like, I feel like we have to be friends, Maddie. We have to be friends. And then I remember we stayed in touch on Instagram, and then you decided to do a manifesting like workshop, and it was called Make It Mine.
Mhm.
And oh, you guys, it was so good. If you are into manifestation, if you're into any of that woo woo stuff with me, you have to go check this out the next time she does it because I literally sat on the beach that day and just listened and just absorbed. And it was so good. I literally had notes upon notes in my notebook. And then I used them in a variety of ways moving forward, like all the different techniques and tricks that you provided. And I was like, oh my gosh, you have to do that for my Brave Hearts. So now Maddie is a special guest that comes into the Get Over Your Ex program and teaches my Brave Hearts her Make It Mine manifestation workshop. And I'm obsessed. I'm so excited for you to come on and do that. And that's why I decided I wanted her to come on and talk to you guys today on the podcast, kind of all about manifestation. If I know this is a little bit different than what everyone's used to. I'm used to giving like next steps, very clear tools. And I'm sure Maddie's going to give you all of that today. And we're going to talk about all the things. And we're going to start out with like manifestation in general. And then I also want to talk about manifesting a man because right now you might be heartbroken and devastated and completely miserable, but Maddie is going to be a bright light in a dark place, alongside obviously all of the other content that we have in the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast. So I'm so excited. So, Maddie, why don't you go ahead? Thank you so much for coming on today. Why don't you just take a moment, introduce yourself? What do you want the Brave Hearts to know about you? Tell us all the things.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, first of all, yeah, thank you so, so much for having me here. Thank you for coming to my masterclass so that you could experience that. I'm so grateful that I get to do it again. And when Dorothy asked me if I would do it like in her program, of course, I was just ecstatic because I just love teaching this stuff. Of course, like any chance I get, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. But I still had like a piece of me that was like, I want to come on the podcast too and like just really share and talk about, you know, when you came on my podcast, you were talking about one of the steps to get over your ex is work on your future, right? And that is manifestation. And I think one of, you know, whether you call it manifestation and get like into the woo woo parts of things, or if you just call it creating your life, same thing. It is an essential part of getting over your ex is getting really, really passionate and excited about just the creation of your life. And that's how I truly teach manifestation. It's just being a true creator, like an artist. And that's what I consider myself. I never considered myself an artist or creative or anything of those sorts, but I've really found that for myself these past I mean, only like 3 years, 4 years. I'm new to this. So I'm 24 years old. I just turned 24 like a week or two ago. I almost said 23. I grew up in Utah and now I live in Venice Beach, California. I live with my partner here and our best friend. We have a little townhome here. I love it. I have a home office. I started my business not even a year ago. It hasn't even been a year and I'm obsessed with it. This is like my calling. It is my place. I teach a lot of confidence and I also teach business as well because that is kind of how I've been able to find my confidence and create my life is doing what I truly love and getting paid to do it. So I teach a little bit of everything. Confidence, manifestation, business. I can't really pick a niche right now. I love sharing it all. So it's a little bit about
I
me.
love that. So good. Thank you so much, Maddie. Okay, so let's dive in. Why don't you? I guess I want to start with a question that I've been just personally curious about for you is tell me maybe like your top like 3 to 5 manifestations in your life. Like what are like the things that you've been like obsessed with and created and all of that?
Yes. I mean, well, the first one that comes to mind is my person, Henry. I 100% manifested him. And I remember, like, when we first started dating, we're like, are we just lucky or did we work for this? Is like our energy aligned for this? Because it was almost too good to be true. I'm like, this has to be just luck. And I'm like, no, I think that we manifested this. Like we manifested each other and we truly did. So that's the first one that comes to mind. Second is my business. Like every single person that is in my circle, like my listeners, my followers, like everyone that's around me, Dorothy, like other peers, like that is one of my favorites. And this beautiful office that I have in fucking Venice. I mean, I never thought that I would live like a mile or two from the beach. I like look out at the sky. It's beautiful. It's crazy here in LA right now, but it's beautiful. And I can't believe I have like a fucking office where I am a CEO of a business.
Isn't it mind blowing?
I'm like having a mind blowing moment right here because sometimes you don't think about it. And then one day someone asks you on a podcast and you're like, damn.
Here I am.
Yeah.
I find that so fascinating because I had like a full circle moment it was actually last week, 2 full circle moments. A lot happened last week. But I was on a podcast, or not a podcast. I was in a clubhouse room with this woman named Corinne Crabtree, who for the life coach school is like one of the top, I think she is the top earner at the life coach school. And so I was asked to come on and talk about starting your life coaching business. And they introduced me by saying a successful life coach. And all of a sudden it like hit me. I was like, I remember when I had to practice believing that without without a lot of evidence. So that was a full circle moment. And then I got to be on my business coach's podcast recently for having a 200K year. And I just like exploded a little.
Isn't it so crazy?
Isn't that nuts? It's so weird. And you just like, you've been like, you work for it, but in a way where at least I hustled for the first while. I know that you don't.
Yeah.
But
Yes and no.
I definitely did. And so it's like I totally I don't know. It's one of those things where it was like here and then I was like, wow.
Yeah. I mean hustling is okay, there is a stigma against hustling right now. Aligned hustling to get what you want is okay. We can talk more about this and
Yes!
the balance of like masculine and feminine in business. But I mean, I definitely hustle, not to the point where like wears me out or anything, but I fucking hustle. So yes, when I get to those points where I like see this influx of like money or influx of clients or like a really amazing launch, it's never just like it's surreal. It is surreal because you put so much into it. And even if it's not like hustling and it's work, like we put so much heart and like tears and like energy into it all. And yeah, it doesn't get old. It doesn't get old.
Let's talk about that. Like so maybe start with that. If you had to give like steps to manifestation, and someone's trying to manifest something, what would you say are like the specific steps? Can you talk us through some of that?
Yes, I can talk you through all the steps. Okay, so number one. Okay, where do I start? Ooh, loaded question. Number one, when it comes to manifesting, it's more about like how you feel and feeling good than it is like the specific asking and the writing in your journal and the scripting and making sure you do the right things and you're thinking the right thoughts and like doing the same right affirmations and having the right crystals and having the right incense and like all of these like kind of logical things. What I see when people come into manifestation is they get a little too logical about it. Like they feel like they're doing it wrong. Guys, it's about feeling good and like believing in yourself. Like that's it. I mean, that's literally it. It's feeling good, being in alignment. If something feels good, you keep doing it and you keep going that way. If something doesn't feel good, you go the other way. And you make sure that you're in alignment and you feel good. And then you just believe in yourself. And just believe that whatever you desire and whatever you want is is yours, but then you actually work for it. But let me actually bring up like my steps really quick.
Yeah, I was going to say
I should have them memorized, but I don't.
one of the things that you taught in the Make It Mine manifestation, did you call it a master class?
I called it a master class.
Yes,
Yeah.
masterclass. So, that I thought was so beneficial and useful was like the why behind what you desire.
Yeah.
So, not just picking like getting quick and like picking something that you desire, but really truthfully knowing the why behind it, which I thought was super helpful. Like, why do I want a
Yeah.
partner? And I
Yep.
think that gets a lot of people thinking about like, why do you want to be in a relationship even?
Yep.
We can talk more about that later, but go ahead. Tell me the steps.
The whys of relationships. Yeah. Yeah. It's way more important to have like that energy and just that desire and like just intention to feel good. And the whys and all that. It's so much more important than I think the logical steps that people worry about. So I had to say that first before I get into my logical steps, right? So step number 1 is feel good. Number 2 is to ask. Ask for what you want. And that's where the why comes in, right? Of course, ask for what you want and know exactly why you're asking for that, because it can get really messy here if you're asking for something that you think that you want, but you don't actually want. And you would be surprised at how much that happens. Actually, in Make It Mine, a lot of the feedback I got after the masterclass was people starting to actually successfully manifest right after the masterclass because they realized they've been manifesting the wrong thing this whole time.
Well, that kind of reminds me of what we talked about before. I don't remember if it was in your podcast. I don't remember where we talked about it, but that reminds me of when people think they want to be back together with their ex, but it's like,
Yes.
why? Why do you
Yeah.
want to be back together with your ex? And do you need that person for that reason? And oftentimes the answer is no. And I talk to them about attachment versus commitment, right? Being attached to that person versus committed to the outcome that you're creating.
Yep, exactly. And if you think about it, everything that we ask for, everything that we desire, it really does come down to emotions and feelings. You don't actually want to be back with your ex. You want to feel the security and the comfortability that you had with your ex. But people forget you can have that same security and comfortability. Is that the right word? Comfortability.
We like making up words here. So it's
Okay, make up words all the time. Good. I'm glad that your listeners are comfortable or what's the word? Used to it. Yeah. So
and oftentimes we're not even like, we think we were comfortable. We think it was familiar.
yes,
And it's like but when you're in it, you were either sad and confused or, you know, anxious about it. And it's not even like it was really that comfortable. We just think it was.
exactly. It can be like a whole facade, even thinking of things that you don't have yet. So, thinking that you want to hit a certain goal or hit like maybe a certain financial goal or just a goal in your business, and thinking like, oh, that's going to make me feel successful. That's going to make me feel like I'm amazing. And then you would be surprised to see you get to that thing. This would be where unaligned hustling comes in, where it doesn't actually feel good to you, but you're just hustling for it because you think that you need it. And then you receive it and you realize, ooh, I'm not getting those emotions. Or sometimes I call it like a bonus gift. We think that getting to a certain thing is going to give us like a bonus gift of like, haha, you hit, $50,000. Congrats, you get happiness now and gratitude. But no, you have to create those emotions on your own, no matter what comes and what goes in your life. And that's why number 1 step to manifestation, what I always just start out on is it's about how you feel. 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 Because you think that getting these things are going to make you feel a certain way, and they're not. You got to have the Sunday first. Oh, what's so funny is you said this about men in my podcast, but you got to have your Sunday first, and then all of your little desires that you want. It's like
Cherries on
sprinkles.
top.
Yeah,
That's what I say all the time. I'm like, yeah, right. That's what it's all about for my brave hearts.
Yeah.
Everyone listening, you know this, right? You got to build your Sunday so that when your partner comes, he's just the cherry on top. And if he rolls off that Sunday, no big deal, because you have this epic, amazing Sunday.
Yes, and it is the exact same thing with your manifestations. Your emotions should feel like a fucking Sunday, no matter where you are, no matter what's happening to you, no matter how much money is in your bank account, no matter what your love life looks like. You should be able to find a way to feel good, or quote unquote have another Sunday. And then, okay, you get a fancy car, boom, put some Reese's Pieces on top. You get a
Yeah.
house, you get another cherry, you get some chocolate drizzle. You know what I mean?
Get the whipped cream. I love it.
Yes,
I love that.
exactly.
Well, I think it's fascinating too, because one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about specifically was actually, there's so many things. My brain's going in a million different directions.
I love it.
First off, before I move on, did we go through all the steps?
No, I only got to number 2.
Okay, so finish that before I ask you more specific questions.
Okay, perfect. So number 2 is ask. I mean, we could literally, when I was creating Make It Mine, it was so hard because I could have talked for 8 hours like about each step. But really quickly, so ask. Number 3 is let go of the how, which we focused heavily on in my masterclass. Let go of the how means let go of how you think you're going to receive your manifestation, but that doesn't mean don't try any hows. It just means let go of your attachment to which one you think will work. Number 4 number 4 is align yourself, which means just aligning yourself to the version of you that already has that. So if you want a new healthy relationship, aligning yourself would look like taking yourself on dates, saying things to yourself that you would wish that your partner would say to you. It would look like getting ready and like pampering yourself as if you're about to go on a date with this person in your relationship. So just aligning yourself and your life to kind of look like the life that it would look like if you had your manifestation. Number 5 is work on your goals, because I'm very big about the action part of manifestation. If you're looking for just law of attraction teachings, that's not me. Find a different girl. Number 6 is release resistance. There's a lot of resistance and blockages that come up when manifesting. And like simply put, it's just doing the work on yourself, being honest with yourself, being in integrity, and being able to be aware of what might be blocking you. Which I want to talk about one big thing. I have to put a note that comes up when like manifesting a man with this one, releasing resistance. Number 7 is trust, and then trust some more. And then when everything goes wrong, trust some more. Number 8 is be open to receive. And number 9 is to be grateful for every single thing that you receive. Even if it's not quite your manifestation yet, have to be grateful for everything. And those are my 9 foolproof steps to manifesting. It's a lot.
Isn't it so fun? Brave Hearts, I want to call out very specifically. Listen, if you what's the word? I want to say rewound, but rewind. If you rewind that and you back up and you listen to her say those steps, I want you to think about how similar those steps are to all of the thought work that you've learned through the podcast thus far. So much of it is so in alignment and so similar to that. So it's taking everything, all of the knowledge that you have around belief work and thought work, and then applying it in this way, which I think is so beautiful. And I just want to call that out so that at least the brave hearts who've been listening to the podcast for a while feel like they could totally do this. They could absolutely manifest anything that they want. So I love that. And then secondly, I want to dive into manifesting a man. So like, tell me, not only how did you manifest him, but like, tell us like why. I guess I also want to know why. Like, why did you want to manifest Henry? How did it happen? Tell us all the things.
Okay, so this is going to be fun for me to talk about. I love my boyfriend. He's fucking amazing. And I would not have found him, met him, like been in this relationship with him if I did not go through everything I went through before. So I have had an ex. I feel like I need to share this story because I'm on the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast. I have had an ex. It was not great. It was a bad breakup. It was definitely a big character building experience for me. So I was in a relationship that was very, 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 very toxic. Um, I've heard of a lot of toxic relationships. I feel like mine was definitely one of the worst. I can't even believe that was me, honestly, in that relationship and in the breakup that lasted almost like a year, honestly, because we were so attached to each other. Or maybe I was so attached to him. I don't know. It was a mess. And so I left that relationship, and that was when like my manifesting journey started. Now, my manifestation of Henry, that's my boyfriend's name is Henry. It wasn't like I was consciously looking for him. I wasn't. But my process of manifestation was knowing that I did not want something like I just had ever again. And my manifestation story with him does look a little bit different because I didn't write down a list of everything I wanted in a man. I wasn't very specific. I wasn't writing in my journal every day that I wanted a person. I actually didn't even know that I wanted a person. And um, there's so many different ways to manifest, and the process isn't going to look the same for me and same for you and same for other people. For you, it can look like, writing your list and knowing that you want a person and doing the work. For me, mine was just knowing that I deserved better. It was just this deep belief that I deserved better, and that like this deep down knowing that when it was time, it was going to happen. Also, there is no such thing as like fast manifestation, especially when it comes to a specific person. That's the struggle I really have with helping other people manifest. Um, Other people, like a relationship, is because most people, they want it now. And they're coming from desperation, or they're trying to manifest their ex back, or they're trying to manifest a specific person. And it can get really, really like, um,
Oh, I'm glad you're bringing this up. Can I
yeah,
interject for just a second?
yeah, of
So,
course.
Bravehearts, this is so important for you to hear what she's saying. And you can correct me if I'm making an incorrect assumption, but here's what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So, when someone is manifesting from desperation,
Mm-hmm.
it's coming from a desperate feeling. And if you recall, remember she was talking about aligned action.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I can tell when my action is not aligned is based off of the feeling, right? So when you're feeling desperate, think about how you show up, right? You're showing up kind of graspy. You feel like something needs to be fixed. You're trying, like, you have probably have like a lot of I don't knows or how or all of that versus maybe if you're not desperate, what's the feeling that normally you would want them to feel if they're trying to like gratitude, probably
Gratitude and peace, I think a lot of the times.
calm. I like calm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like peace and gratitude, when you're feeling at peace with what is,
Yep.
then you approach, like, think about how you show up, right? You're showing up very different when you're at peace about something.
Mhm.
There isn't the graspiness. You're taking forward like momentum, but you're not attached to like the timing of it, all of
Exactly.
that. And notice that obviously those feelings are created by different thoughts, right? So the
Mhm.
desperation, it sounded like, comes from like, I need this now, or I have to get this one specific person back, or my life's never going to be the same without him, which
Yep.
obviously are a lot of the thought patterns that my brave hearts have. So I'm glad you brought that up because it sounds like where
Yeah.
you were at in your breakup, you didn't have those thoughts. You weren't thinking, I'm not going to find someone else like him again. I'm never going to have that deep connection again.
Mhm.
Versus it sounded like you were thinking thoughts like, I deserve better, which might have felt very empowering or
Yeah.
powerful. And
And
things
it took me a long time to get there. Like my breakup was like a year, you guys, of me so sure that there was no one else for me and that I would never have a connection like that ever again and I would never be in love like that ever again and there was no one in this whole entire world that would ever love me that much ever again. And that's why I was so crazy, honestly. It took me a really, really long time to get to the point where I said, I deserve better. I believe that I do, and I'm going to create my life without this person. Right.
yeah.
Sorry,
What
I
was, what
interrupted
did,
you, but I was like,
no,
took
I
me
mean,
so long.
all of my Bravehearts know it took me a year and a half to make the mental
Yeah.
shifts. And like I tell them all the time has nothing to do with it. It is literally one thought away.
Yep.
But notice the thought shift and the thought difference in Maddie's situation. Like she
Yeah.
did it, you guys can do it. It's totally available and it's going to get you closer to actually manifesting the partner that you actually genuinely want.
Yes.
It's so important.
But you also can't like try to force yourself to feel like calm and peaceful with the intention that, okay, Dorothy and Maddie said I need to be like calm and peaceful. So I need to like hurry and feel that way so that I can like manifest this back. No, this is like a life change. This is a true commitment. This isn't a emotion that you're trying to create with the sake of finding the outcome that you want. It is like true surrender of like, oh my God, I'm not letting go of my attachment to this person and like the attachment to the time and the attachment of everything for the sake of like hoping they're going to come faster. I'm letting go of all of like everything. I'm letting go of it all and just creating my life because I want to. Because I want to. And that's why for me, I think I manifested Henry so smoothly was because I didn't have my mindset on like, oh, I'm getting my life back together because like I'm going to find my person. I'm going to find them and I'm going to keep doing everything until I find them and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I truly wanted to find happiness. I truly wanted to find myself. I did not know myself after my ex. I had no idea who the fuck I was. Like I literally was there identityless. Identityless. That's a word. I'm making up another word, number 2, put that in your get over your ex dictionary. I had no idea who the fuck I was. And so I never went through my manifestation journey like I'm going to find myself so that I can find my person. I'm just going to find myself because I want to be happy. And that's why number 1 in the list is always feeling good. It's about feeling good. It's about feeling good. Everything else will come to you. Everything else will come. The person, the money, the business, the house, the cars. If you focus on what feels good and you hold your standards high, like everything's going to work out for you.
I love it.
Truly. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we feel like Henry came because in a very smooth way
Yeah.
because of how you were just unattached to all of it, is what it sounds like.
Unattached to all of it. And
Mhm.
I felt absolutely in love with myself.
Mhm.
That was when we were just talking about festivals a little bit before we started recording. I am a avid festival goer. I love raving. And if I wouldn't have had that, I mean, well, I also wouldn't have met Henry because that's where I met him, but I wouldn't be here. I literally wouldn't be here because that created a space for me to truly find myself and fall in love with myself. Going to a very judgment free zone filled with passion and love and respect and unity, where I could just kind of like find like who even is Maddie Maple. And through that process and getting like closer and closer and closer to myself, I was able to open myself to love because I was so comfortable with who I was and so close to my authentic self. Because if you're not your authentic self and your partner isn't their authentic self, you're always going to be on a roller coaster, if I'm being
Mhm.
completely honest.
Well, and you're not gonna, I mean, and then for when you don't have a partner and you're not
Mhm.
being your authentic self, you're not going to attract a mate that
No,
would match with your authentic self because they don't even have the option to find you because you're not being
exactly.
your authentic self.
Exactly. It was like the more authentic I became and the more in love with myself I became and the more happy I felt, the more I was like getting closer to finding my perfect person because
Mhm.
that's when you find them.
So
Um
good.
yeah, when you know what you love and you like don't change it. Like cuz a lot of people when you get into a relationship, he'll be like, "Oh, I love girls that like listen to country music." And like the next day you're like on your Snap story like listening to country music and he's like, "Oh my god, wait, you love country music?" Like, no. You have to be at a point where you're so deeply like centered within yourself that you do not change yourself, and anyone that doesn't like a part of who you are so confident in saying you are not my person and you do not change parts about yourself. So if you're in a place where you're still like wavering about like who you are, I mean you don't have to like know every single part of yourself to be in a relationship, but I guess what I'm saying is um you have to have the Sunday. You gotta
Mhm.
have the Sunday, an authentic Sunday, or else you're not going to attract that person that's perfect for you. You might attract somebody.
Yeah.
They're not going to be the perfect one for
They're
you.
not going to be yours.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of, so in the second portion of the Get Over Your Ex program, we go over lovability, worthiness, building the number one relationship with yourself, the number one relationship, which is with yourself, all of that. And throughout that process, they do something called a relationship with yourself evaluation, and it evaluates 7 components that you need within a relationship with yourself. And it's almost like, I love how you were like, you don't have to know everything about yourself, but one of the components is intimacy. Like, do you know the intimate details about yourself? And are you so grounded in them that you don't feel a need to fix them or change them?
Yep. Yep. Exactly. It's so important. It's
Yeah.
so important. It also makes your relationship just better. It does, because then you can like the relationship I have with my partner is so like transparent, and like there's no masks. There's no masks because we're so deeply rooted in every fact of ourselves, and like because we're so rooted in it, we can see each other for who we truly are, if that makes sense. It's kind of a weird concept, but it makes your relationship better. Like when I was in my first relationship, guys, I know the feeling. If you're sitting there listening to this right now and you're like, oh, this is great, but like Dorothy and Maddie really don't understand my relationship. Like, this is my person. Like, no one's going to love me more. There's nothing better than this. Guys, you will be in for a rude awakening. And I hope you like reflect on this episode one day and be like, oh my God, she was right. Because there is a relationship that is better. And it's when you are your full authentic self. Because it just makes it like fucking magical, truly.
And that kind of reminds me, there's a client of mine, a Braveheart alumni, who came on the podcast and talked about her journey and stuff. And one of the biggest things, we stayed in contact and we stay in touch, and she started dating someone new. And when she started dating someone new, she messaged me being like, Dorothy, I cannot believe I was so hung up on someone who didn't unconditionally like really like love me for who I was. And of course, the reason she didn't, or that she stayed in that relationship and was hung up, and it was like she wasn't fully unconditionally loving all of those parts of herself. And then as she worked through that and got to that place and then attracted a new mate, and that mate was totally fine with her being herself, like it's, once you experience it, I don't think you can ever go back.
Yep. Exactly. And like, it takes a lot to get there. It does. Like, loving yourself can be hard, and feeling good can be hard. I mean, like the one main thing that I'm sharing that like I think is the most important part of manifestation, like that it can be hard, like just to feel good all the time, and have a commitment to only staying in or doing what feels good to you. But it's so worth it.
How do
It's so
you,
worth it.
I have a question that's not necessarily about manifestation, but how do you, I guess one of the biggest things that I share with my brave hearts that's super important is that they learn, sorry, the blue angels are flying above me. I don't know if you can hear
You're good.
that. It's really important that while they're going through a breakup, that they feel their feelings. Like they're not going to feel good. Like for a while, they need to allow those negative emotions to come through. So like if they're going through that, really like they're in the thick of the pain, do you know what I'm talking about? When they're going that, I guess, how would that tie with manifestation? What should they do? Can you manifest when you're going through that much pain?
Oh, I love that you asked this. Because I just released an episode today all about this, about feeling guilty, about feeling low vibe because you might be manifesting bad things, or feeling worried or stressful that you're manifesting bad things when you're feeling low vibe. I love this question. So, absolutely, you can still manifest, because this is a weird concept, but I believe that you can almost, in your beliefs and in like the watcher part of you, I don't know if you ever kind of like mention things, you know, you can watch your emotions, you can watch your thoughts, you can watch your feelings, and kind of like step back and observe them a little bit. And I believe that we can still feel high vibe when we're in like a lot of pain, in a sense, where you can have all of these emotions and all of this heartbreak and all of these like just icky thoughts, and still beneath all of that or behind all of that, be sitting there like, wow, like Maddie is feeling so much pain right now. She is hurting so bad. And I believe that this is like something good is going to come out of this. I believe that everything is in her favor right now. And my thoughts can still be like, nothing's working out. Like, I hate everything. I hate myself. Da da da. And you can still sit back and observe those thoughts and say, but something's going to come out of this. I see you struggling right now, girl. I see you. It's almost like you can have your struggling self and your highest self in your mind at the same time and just keep reminding yourself of the higher timeline of like, girl, everything's working in your favor. Everything's working in your favor. And then you can still feel negative emotions and not be worried about manifesting bad things because it's more about your beliefs, really, like what you believe is going to happen and focusing on feeling good. So if you're trying to feel good, and you're not just like latching on to those emotions all day, and you really are like putting in an honest effort and trying to take care of yourself and trying to love yourself through it, I don't think that, and this is my opinion also, I have to put that out there, this is my opinion because I don't really know, maybe this isn't true, but I don't believe that the universe like punishes us and makes us not as powerful of a creator when we're processing negative emotions. I think it's just as powerful as long as you have the right beliefs underneath it.
Yes. I mean, I agree totally. I agree 100%. I feel like from my standpoint, the universe wants you to move through those emotions.
Exactly.
So moving through those emotions is only strengthening you. It's not hindering you in any way, shape, or form. Suppressing those emotions is where you get sticky.
Yep. Exactly.
So I
And
agree with all of that.
a lot of manifestation is just like doing the work on yourself. It really is. It's just doing the work on yourself to get you more into alignment, get you feeling better, and to release like resistance, to like having your desires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's more, I think people don't really promote manifestation as this a lot because it sounds a lot less pretty than writing something in your journal and then having it like appear on your doorstep. That sounds a lot prettier. But like I said, manifestation to me is true creation of my life. And with that comes feeling icky emotions, and it comes shadow work, and also a little bit of aligned hustling sometimes, and working a lot, and all of these things. But it feels good, and that's all that matters.
I love
Yeah.
that. It kind of, well, and speaking about the how for just a quick second,
Yeah.
um, I was doing some work in my business and I was thinking about how, like, what are my thoughts about myself when it comes to having baby Marilyn? So, some of the Bravehearts who have been an avid listener for a while, they know that I very much like, I'm going to have a baby. Her name is going to
Mhm.
be Marilyn Pearl. And I just like
Mhm.
know it. It's like one of those things you just know. Like,
Yeah.
so excited to meet her. And when it comes to her, like, what are my thoughts about myself when it comes to baby Marilyn? What are my thoughts about the how or like the method of creating baby Marilyn? And then
Mhm.
also, what are my thoughts about baby Marilyn? And then looking at those thoughts and then taking them and applying them to whatever I'm trying to manifest, because it's such a like a done deal. Like the having done energy, the calm confidence with baby Marilyn is there because my they're so
Mhm.
solid. I'm like, I give zero fucks about the how, none. I'm down for all of the hows. I'm not above any of them.
Mhm.
I believe that I'm going to be a mother, like so hardcore in my bones, it doesn't even feel like a question.
Yeah.
And there, I also believe like there's nothing standing in my way. Like there's literally no circumstance in the world that can keep me from creating that. It feels
Yeah.
fully in my control. And then when
Mhm.
I think about my thoughts about her, I'm like, I'm already fucking in love with her. Right.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's like taking, I think that's another thing when it comes to the how. If you're struggling with the how, I would very much look at a part of your life that feels like a done deal and look at your thoughts about it and your feelings about it, and then apply that to whatever you're trying to manifest. Um, that was just something that I happened to stumble across when I was doing my own self coaching work, and it was monumental.
I love this so much. Okay, I have a question for you, if that's okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, how did you get to that point that you were so fucking like, done deal? This
Hmm.
is my baby. she's happening, I'm already a mother in my mind. How did
Yeah,
you get there?
I feel like it comes to a couple of things. It just always, I was, how do I describe this?
I mean, did it always just kind of feel
It just,
like that?
yeah, like when you talk about feeling aligned and feeling grounded, it always has felt that way. And I think it's been continuously solidified the more I think about it and the older that I get
Mm-hmm.
because of the why. When you talk about the why, and I'm like, well, I want a
Yeah.
baby just because. And my why is because I want to be a mother. And why do I want to be a mother? Because I think it's going to be a beautiful human experience. I'm
Yep.
excited for all of it. And I feel like it's solidified every single day when I think about it in that way.
Yeah. I mean, the true desire is there. The true desire. And like, I love that we're circling back to this topic about the asking and the why. And I mean, really the concept of manifesting something you don't want. If you are like pulling teeth and nails to try and manifest something and you're overthinking it and it's causing you more stress than it is happiness, like, do you guys hear? I wish you could see. They're not going to see this, right?
No, they don't see the recording. No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
I wish you could see Dorothy when she starts talking about her baby. Like, that is the fucking energy. And if she just stays in alignment and does what feels good to her and just has that deep desire of something that's actually authentically like, she fucking wants this, like, deep, deep down, not because someone else told her, not because like she's going to get some status thing from it or some ego thing from it. Like, she has a deep desire to experience this. Everything else, it's like you just keep working on yourself. You stay open and that's it. That's it. I love that you speak though on if you're struggling to manifest something else, take something that you do truly, truly like have the right beliefs for and apply it. But also it should come pretty easily to
And
you
don't
like
force
that.
it, right? It's the whole,
Yeah.
you had talked about this earlier, but you can't force it. You
Yeah.
definitely have to like allow yourself into it almost.
Yes.
Relax into it.
Yeah, like if you're really, really struggling to like change your beliefs, you have to ask yourself, like, am I asking for the right thing? Yes, you're gonna have some beliefs that are hard to like transform. Like, of course, when you start your business, you're like, oh my God, is this actually gonna work? And we have to work on our beliefs to, believe that we are a successful life coach, right? And there you go. And then you manifest it. There are beliefs that will be difficult to transform because you've never like went into these like realms before. But it shouldn't be that hard. It should be very smooth. Like I was saying, going
Fluid.
back to
Mm-hmm.
yeah, going back to manifesting Henry, like it was so smooth. It was never me like reflecting back on like my 9 steps to manifestation and making sure that I'm doing each one right and like writing down all of my beliefs and making sure they're all good. Like it was smooth, it was fluid, the desire was there, and I just held on.
I love that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good. Thank you so much, Maddie. So before we kind of close out today, there's two things I want you to do. The first thing is number one, if there's anything else that you wanted to share about manifestation, please tell us. And then
Yes.
number two, make sure to tell everyone how they can find you, how, if they are interested in working with you, how they can find you, just to hang out with you, to work with you, whatever that looks like for you. Give them all the places and tell them also about your podcast because I love your podcast.
Yes, I would love to. So the last thing I want to say about like manifesting and specifically manifesting a relationship is to make sure that you step into your beliefs. So do the thought work that Dorothy gives you, do the belief work, then make sure you're stepping into it in your everyday life because it's one thing to say like I believe that there is a man out there that is going to treat me right, and then you go out into the world, right? You write that over and over in your journal and you're like, I believe that there is a man out there for me. He's going to treat me so good, la da 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 da. And then you go out into your life and this boy comes along and you see the red flags and you ignore them and he starts treating you wrong and you allow that to happen. That's not stepping into your beliefs. And that can be a huge, huge block in manifesting your person. So all of these beliefs that you're writing down and the thoughts you're working through, and the self-love that you are like promoting within yourself, hold on tight to it, keep on working on it, and then take it with you when you step out your door, or go online, because we're in COVID times. But when you go out and you're experiencing, make sure you actually act within those beliefs, because that is so, so, so important.
I'm
Just
so
mention that.
glad. Yeah, so glad you said that. So brave hearts, remember, again, if you've listened to past, if this isn't your first episode, we talk about getting over your ex. There's 3 steps, and we have to decide to get over our ex, right? We have to commit to that decision, and we got to practice it every single day. So what Maddie is talking about is that practice step where you literally have to show up as that person who's over their ex every single day. You got to make decisions like that person. Someone who's over their ex doesn't decide to end up on his social media. Doesn't decide to reach out to him or respond to the blanket message of him just being curious. She shows up as that person every single day and practices that. So I'm so glad you mentioned that, Maddie.
Exactly. And that's why, like, when it comes to manifestation, I really am about the action. I love talking about action and manifestation, because there is action for you to take. It's not enough for you to just write your dream guy in your journal and then close it and then not do anything about it. It's time for you to become the version of you that you want to be, not for any other reason except for just being the person that you want to be, because it's fucking amazing. And being authentic is amazing.
Beautiful.
So that's the last thing I just really wanted to say. And then things about me. So I have my podcast. It's called Breaking Butterfly. It's like my favorite thing in the world. I love having a podcast, and you can come listen to me there. Talk about a whole lot of shit. Whatever I want to talk about, we're talking about there. And then you can find me on Instagram at Madi Maple, Madi Maple, like the syrup. And a couple things that I have going on. Number 1 is my Metamorphosis group is like my signature confidence building program, but that will be in August. But I'm already taking like waitlist people now. So if you want to build confidence for yourself and become the badass bitch that doesn't need nobody, Metamorphosis is where you can hang out with me. And then my next program is Serve. We're going to be doing a live 8-week business course. So if you've always wanted to be a coach yourself, I'd love to chat with you for 8 weeks. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's kind of what's going on with me. Thank you for giving me the space to share it.
Of course. Thank you so much, Maddie. I appreciate you taking time today to chat with me. I know the Bravehearts are going to love it and going to love you. So thank you so much for coming on. And girl, I cannot tell you how excited I am to have you inside the group. Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited.
Amazing. Awesome. All right, Boo. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.